How animation has completely shifted and why it matters. Ooh, alright. It's about to be an interesting one. I'm assuming this is about Demon Slayer based on this. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
$70 million. That's how much a Japanese anime movie made in America in one weekend, completely destroying a 26-year-old record and proving that everything you thought you knew about animation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And by the way, notice how the previous record was also from like animation from Japan, Pokemon. If you can't see it, yeah, there we go. Okay. That's just crazy to me. I'm curious how much Chainsaw Man's gonna make because Chainsaw Man's gonna come out. I think it's like the 22nd or something. So I'm curious how this is gonna be. But shoot,
Bad animation is wrong. But that number isn't even the most shocking part of this story. There are three main shifts that are gonna completely overhaul
he's so fun. Anyways, keep going.
the animation industry and could signal the end of Western animation as we know it. For context, this past month, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle came out in cinemas across the world and has now made upwards of $616 million worldwide, becoming the highest grossing anime film in history. In the United States alone, it earned $118 million, making it not just the biggest anime opening ever, but the only animated film to pass $100 million in the US this year. Think about that. In a year where Pixar and DreamWorks
Has really run down.
both released animated movies, it was a Japanese demon slaying story that became most of the world's most successful animated film. Not only that, it also beat Marvel and DC at the box office. This isn't some fluke either. It's the second time the Demon Slayer franchise has achieved this level of success. Mugen Train made $506 million globally in 2021, and now Infinity Castle has surpassed that milestone by quite a bit. Two R-rated animated movies from the same
R-rated?
franchise have now produced the biggest Japanese.
Is this the highest money like for an R-rated film ever? Just in general? Dude, that's crazy. I'm not even surprised though when you compare it to Disney and stuff like that because we all know Disney doesn't care that much about their users anymore. They just care about the bottom line and the actual money. Now, of course, every animation studio is like that to an extent, but at least with Japanese animation like studios, they know what their people want. They already know. It's not that hard. And so having this out just proves it even more, is what I think.
These animated successes at the global box office in history. It's clear we're witnessing a cultural shift happening in real time. And to understand why this is happening, we need to talk about how animation has fundamentally evolved in ways that most of you haven't even noticed yet. Because what we're witnessing is the complete transformation of what audiences want from animated storytelling.
The other woman, they used to be one of my childhood crushes, bro.
And studios are gonna have to wake up. For the longest time, Hollywood was obsessed with insisting that animated movies were for kids, that animation and cartoons were just for children, and that animation couldn't and shouldn't be mature. Mainly because the Hays Code from 1934 to 1968 first censored mature animation content, conditioning two generations to view animation as children's entertainment. Then, how expensive and time-intensive animated films were meant studios needed guaranteed family audiences to justify that kind of investment. Adult animation meant narrower demographics and uncertain returns. Add to that the success of Disney and the Looney Tunes and many other child-friendly cartoons, and the perception became self-reinforcing.
I miss this movie. I have such terrible memory though. I straight up forgot. Is this Monsters Inc.? I think that's the name. Yeah.
Animation is for kids because we only fund animation for kids. But audiences have grown up and have also been exposed to anime over the past few decades, which has shaped their view of what animation should and could be. That's led to all of us quietly and sometimes loudly, in my case, demanding for animated storytelling that's more mature, more complex, more honest and nuanced. And the studios that listened are now dominating dominating the conversation, while those that didn't are getting swiftly left.
It was trash. I'm sorry, but this shit was trash. Yeah. I feel bad for whoever animated this because it looks beautiful, but the story? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro.
Behind. There are multiple animated movies that are leading the way. We'll get to those. But in Demon Slayer's case, it's an R-rated animated movie that made hundreds of millions at the box office. That would have been incomprehensible 20 years ago. No R-rated movie had ever cracked 150 million before Demon Slayer came along. Why? Damn. For a number of reasons. But number one is
so I was right.
Because it's so globally accessible. Creator Gotoge, which I hope I didn't butcher, simply stayed true to their vision. A straightforward good versus evil story about a kind hero. That simplicity became its international strength. Demons and family tragedy need no cultural translation, unlike anime like Monogatari or Gintama that require Japanese cultural literacy. Yet within that simple framework, Demon Slayer layers Taisho era aesthetics and breathing techniques inspired by Eastern martial arts. Like Squid Game, it succeeded globally by being authentically Japanese while telling a universally relatable story. It also didn't sacrifice emotional weight.
You're giving me spoilers right now? Fuck. I'll put a timestamp on. I think I'm about to be spoiled. I think I'm just gonna take it. I think I'm just gonna take the hit.
When Tanjiro's family is brutally murdered in the
it's only season 1?
There's no magical resurrection, just a boy carrying that trauma and learning to transform pain into compassion. When Rengoku dies in Mugen Train, protecting others with his final breath, it hits hard because the story commits to the emotional stakes. Characters have to live with consequences, grow from them, and sometimes die because of them. What makes this approach brilliant is how Demon Slayer gives every character, especially its villains, detailed backstories that create genuine emotional connection. The demons aren't just monsters to be killed, they're former humans consumed by despair or tragedy, making their eventual defeat bittersweet rather than completely triumphant. I'm pretty
Akaza, my homeboy. Listen. He might be evil, but like, is he? Is this guy evil? Does he look evil? Yes, he's evil. He killed my boy Rengoku. He deserves to die. Yes, he's evil, bruh. Nah.
Sure, Akaza's backstory broke all of us watching the movie. This emotional complexity within a simple narrative structure allows the series to resonate with anyone. But we can't talk about Demon Slayer without mentioning the animation. It's been a staple for the entire series, and Ufotable actually managed to level up with Infinity Castle. It might be the most gorgeous, fluid, and incredible animation I've ever seen in my life. Like art that respects its medium. Every frame could clearly be hung up in a gallery. Every action sequence feels really well choreographed, like if it were ballet. The studio rose to the occasion of a blockbuster movie with its animation, elevating the simple storytelling into something transcendent, as they always have. I have to shout out the Zenitsu fight in particular. It's been a very long time since I've felt that level of goosebumps and hype in the cinema, but seeing Zenitsu—
Bro, he's so cold, bro. I'm getting shivers from him, bro. Look at him. Look at him. He's so fine. He's so—
to do that 7th form of thunder breathing was absolutely batshit crazy. And the complexity of modeling the Infinity Castle sounds insane, with millions of architectural assets, apparently. The way the studio also—
I actually wonder how they even animated it. This is
blended
phenomenal.
CG with 2D was impeccable, and the CG looked so good. But it's not just Infinity Castle leading the craze for maturity in animation. Look at what's been winning Oscars across the animation landscape. Flow, The Boy and the Heron, Guillermo del—
Oh, is Flow good? I was meaning to watch that. I'm so sorry for pausing it so much, but I was meaning to watch that. Like, I really wonder how that—
Toro's Pinocchio, Soul. These are all more mature animated movies with layered and complex—
Soul was the last good Disney movie that I can think of. If you have anything else, I would love to hear it. But that was literally the last good one.
Like storytelling and themes. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is another monumental movie that solidifies this trend, as it's a pretty dark animated movie, especially by the end, tackling death, identity, and challenging predetermined fate. It's definitely no Shrek, that's for sure. These films succeed because they treat their audience like people who have experienced genuine emotions and complex relationships. Animation is for all ages, and the mainstream studios and audiences have finally...
Who is she? Yo, what? My bad. My bad. My bad.
Realize this. But the maturity shift is only half the story. The second shift comes down to a combination of factors that honestly shocked me when I started researching. It simply comes down to how studios are using Surfshark.
There's no way.
Today's sponsor. You should think of Surf.
There was no way, bro. Yo. I fuck with this video, so I'm gonna let it play out. Nah. There's no way you do this to me, bro.
Surfshark, like your own personal infinity castle protecting your digital life. Surfshark encrypts your connection, and Clean Web swats away trackers and ads like Tanjiro cutting through upper demons. One subscription covers unlimited devices, phone, laptop, tablet,
That's cool.
So your whole setup is protected. And you can change your virtual location to any of the 100+ countries Surfshark offers, letting you watch a ton of Netflix shows and movies.
My question is, how is there so much VPNs and yet, like, do they all make so much money? Like, I'm sure Surfshark makes a lot of money, but shoot, like, is it for all of them? Like, there's so many of them. Also, Arcane, if you haven't watched this, I don't know what you're doing, but you should watch Arcane. Yeah, you should really watch Arcane. I literally made this piece of art just because of Arcane. Like, I was fantastic show. That's what I'm gonna say. Squid Game, I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't watched Squid Game. I probably should, just I don't care to.
Just wouldn't be available. Like Rick and Morty, for example, which isn't available on Netflix in the US, but is available in other countries. I personally have a friend who got multiple accounts hacked because he used a random cafe's Wi-Fi. Since then, I don't touch public Wi-Fi without Surfshark, just to make absolutely sure I'm safe. Kind of like how the Hashira don't enter battle without their swords. Same thing. If you want that extra reassurance, go to surfshark.com/Moonwera or use code Moonwera at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. Now back to the actual second fundamental shift.
That seems like pretty good.
That shift is the origin of a lot of these movies. And it's not where Hollywood executives expected 10 years ago. While Western studios have been playing it safe with familiar IPs and focus group tested concepts, Eastern animation has been building global empires by taking creative risks that would have...
I still need to watch that. Attack on Titan was so monumental though for anime. I know that for a fact. I mean, it literally won anime of the decade or whatever, right? So, shoot,
Terrified
I do need to watch
Disney
that.
board members. Neja 2.
Now, do I agree with it being anime of the decade? That's hard to say. Probably not, but I know for a fact it was really good.
Became the highest grossing animated movie in history with over $2 billion worldwide. A Chinese movie that out-earned every Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks movie ever made. Let that sink in. A story rooted in Chinese mythology and cultural values has become the most commercially successful animated film in human history. Even if most...
Wait, what show is this? That's tough, though. That's tough.
Most of that is in China. That's still incredibly impressive. And I'm positive no Western animation studio would have ever predicted that. I definitely wouldn't have. We can't talk about Eastern-inspired animation without mentioning the insane success of K-pop Demon Hunters, becoming Netflix's most watched original film in history with 325 million views, proving that audiences are hungry for stories that blend cultural influences in ways Hollywood hasn't even attempted or barely.
I think this just means Asia's better. I think I need to move to Asia. I heard there were racists over there, but like with stuff like this, honestly, it's okay. Like, you know, as long as I'm one of the good ones, like it's chill for me. Anyways,
A movie about K-pop stars who are secretly demon hunters, combining Korean pop culture aesthetics with supernatural action and musical performances that are insane, did so well by embracing its cultural specificity rather than trying to appeal to everyone. In 2025, the most popular and successful animated movies have all been Eastern, with Infinity Castle adding to it all by becoming the highest grossing animated movie in the US this year. It's not only empty numbers though. Live action Lilo and Stitch, these movies are garnering
There's a live action of Lilo and Stitch. There's a what now?
Incredible reviews too. All of them are above 90% on Rotten Tomatoes and also did incredible on Letterboxd. This represents something unprecedented in entertainment history. Eastern storytelling, Eastern aesthetics, and Eastern cultural values are setting global entertainment standards, while Western studios are playing catch up with movies that feel like they're behind current audience expectations. Anime is obviously at the forefront of this, with international interest rising exponentially over the past 15 years. Sony recognized this shift earlier than most competitors. As Crunchyroll CEO Rahul Purini explains, Sony's $1.18 billion acquisition of Crunchyroll and its merger with Funimation transformed anime from a promising segment into a central strategic component for them.
I agree with that. However, let's be honest with ourselves, Crunchyroll has been going downhill ever since, recently. I think it might be because of that merger. Because now, what stops Crunchyroll? It's basically a monopoly on anime now, right? And with the subtitles and everything, the subtitles are bad. Apparently, they're AI and everything like that. But that's a different topic than what he's talking about. So we're gonna chill on that. If you know anything about that, though, I would really appreciate you telling me in the comments because I don't know everything about that. But shoot.
The company now forecasts anime becoming a $60 billion global industry by 2030. A prediction that Infinity Castle's success is already validating way ahead of schedule. As he said in an interview, anime fandom is no longer niche. It's mainstream and gigantic. Netflix revealed that half of its 300 million users watch anime, and given Netflix's consumer base skews Western, that makes the trend pretty clear. But here's what's most significant about this Eastern dominance. These movies are ridiculously culturally influential in ways that reshape how global audiences think about storytelling itself. When American teenagers cosplay as Tanjiro at Comic-Con, when Chinese mythology becomes globally recognizable, when K-pop is dominating every single chart in the world because of K-pop demon hunters, we're witnessing the establishment.
Well, I wouldn't say just because K-pop demon hunters, though. I mean, there's stuff like BTS and Blackpink that have been on the rise since, I think it was 2017, around there. I think so. I mean, but that's a different topic, I guess.
Of new cultural hierarchies where creativity and authenticity matter the most.
All I'm trying to say is it's not just because of that movie. That's all I'm trying to say.
One more shift that might alter how animation evolves, related to how Demon Slayer is revolutionizing the business model of storytelling itself. See, while most franchises either drag out TV series indefinitely or conclude with single movies or episodes, Demon Slayer is ending with something unprecedented, a trilogy of global cinematic events that treats its finale like a mainstream blockbuster Hollywood spectacle. I've seen people have mixed opinions on this strategy, but I think this is absolutely genius on multiple levels. It gives animators more time and flexibility to do their absolute best, rather than having to rush to get out episodes a la Jujutsu Kaisen. It creates an unparalleled amount of hype with each new movie ending on a cliffhanger basically, and makes the finale into three global cinematic events that the huge fan base of Demon Slayer can look forward to and rave about. Each movie becomes an event that generates global conversation, breaks box office records, and builds anticipation for the next installment. It transforms a normal anime series conclusion into a theatrical franchise that will probably gross over $2 billion combined by the end. Honestly, be prepared to see more anime do something like this. I wouldn't be surprised if One Piece, JJK, or even Solo.
JJK Season 3 better come out soon, bro. Listen, it feels like it's been forever, bro. It feels like it's been forever. I need it already, okay? Also, people hating on Solo Leveling, I get it. You want your free win to win Anime of the Year, okay? You can't lie though that this was the more popular than Freeman. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. There's a reason why it won. Did it deserve to win? That's debatable. I think they should have done Solo Leveling better. Just because it feels like it's more horror farming, and I feel like in the Solo Leveling manga, it's not as much as that. I think it shows more in depth of his character. But it is how it is. Also, the beginning after the end, don't get me started on that. Do not get me started on that. That still doesn't have an anime, bro. It still does not have it. It's only the manga, bro. I don't even know why it's only the manga for the beginning after the end. It deserves much more, like, honestly. Yeah. Let's keep going.
Leveling down the line were also to cap off their anime with multiple movies, given how insanely successful Infinity Castle has been. And honestly, I'm all for it. There's no better feeling than watching your...
Is One Piece even good, bro? Listen, when I look at this, it's like, oh shoot, that looks so cool, right? Arlong was okay. Like, it was okay. Arlong Park was okay, and I didn't get much past that. I didn't get much like past that, so I don't know if it's even good or not. So if you've watched One Piece, please tell me if it's good, because shoot, I might just stick to it to the bitter end, but I don't know.
Favorite anime on the big screen. This also means Western studios need to reevaluate how they approach their animated movies. With two massive blockbuster animated trilogies, Infinity Castle and Spider-Verse, it's clear that animation is now on the level of creating cohesive, large production stories on the scale of Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. See, here's the uncomfortable truth that Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks are all definitely grappling with behind closed doors. Animation has outgrown the creative and commercial limitations that Western studios spent decades reinforcing, and audiences have moved on with or without them. This isn't to say there's no place for family-friendly animated stories. Of course there is. There will always be. The Wild Robot, Inside Out, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Klaus.
Was Inside Out too good? I remember Inside Out was amazing, in my opinion at least. Inside Out 2 though.
But what it means is that moving forward, the billion-dollar-plus animated movies will likely be the more mature ones, in my opinion. I'm pretty certain Beyond the Spider-Verse will crack 1 billion. The rest of the Infinity Castle will likely also crack it, at least the last one. In 2020, Netflix reported that households worldwide watched 50% more anime in the first 9 months of 2020 compared to all of 2019. The pandemic anime boom is a real thing, with people having so much time on their hands that they could start watching anime on Netflix. That trend has accelerated into something that analysts now call the predominant visual language of animated storytelling for entire generations. The people that grew up with cartoons and animation being prevalent are now in their teens, 20s, and 30s. And I'd say we all want animated stories that are more mature as we've matured. And mainly thanks to anime, global audiences discovered animation doesn't have to mean sanitized stories designed to sell toys to children. We found stories—
It's all because of anime. It's always my anime.
That respected our intelligence.
I won't lie to you, the only things I watch is literally anime and YouTube. I'm straight up. That's the only things I watch. So this is
acknowledged our emotional complexity and treated our cultural background as worth celebrating rather than homogenizing. The result is a complete inversion of traditional power dynamics in animation. Anime succeeded by never asking permission to be complex, mature, or emotionally honest. It's always been that way since its popularization in the 60s and 70s. They simply created compelling stories and trusted audiences to respond. Western animation is still struggling to take creative risks, and that hesitation shows in every disappointing box office return. Wish, Elio. This shift has already happened. Sony Pictures is doubling down on anime distribution, Netflix is throwing billions at anime content acquisition and original animated production. Even Disney Plus is quietly adding more mature animated series to their catalog, desperately trying to capture audiences that have already moved on to other platforms.
I really want to see the downfall of Disney. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do. I truly do. I think anime is just better though.
Scramble is real and is accelerating. But here's the fundamental challenge Western studios face. Audiences can tell the difference between authentic storytelling and corporate attempts to replicate successful formulas. You can't just copy the surface elements of anime success without understanding the philosophical differences that make those stories resonate. Funnily enough, the only Western studio that is ahead of the curve is technically Japanese. Sony Animation, the studio responsible for K-pop Demon Hunters, the Spider-Verse, more mature animated movies, and the acquisition.
Oh wait, this was from Sony, not Disney? Oh. Yeah, I thought this was from Disney for a second. That's my bad. Yeah, Sony's killing it though. Okay. My bad.
Of Crunchyroll. So they're betting on anime and more mature animation to be the future. The next 5 years will determine whether Hollywood can evolve quickly enough to compete in a landscape they no longer control, or if we're watching the permanent establishment of Eastern animation as the global standard for what animated storytelling can achieve. I'll personally be placing my bet on the latter.
That's why anime's peak is basically an alternate like title for this is why anime's peak. That's basically what it is. What Gabby understands about love that Disney does. Yo, I'm gonna watch that later. If you want me to react to that, yeah, tell me. But shoot.
So we all know
this guy seems like an amazing creator. Like I'll leave this guy in the description. This is my first video from him, but he seems beautiful. Like this is amazing. Well, very well thought out videos. Unlike mine, mine are pretty low effort. I'll be honest. You know that's how reaction video content is, though. Let's be honest with ourselves. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Please subscribe if you guys enjoyed it. Also subscribe to this guy because yeah, I don't even know why he only has 38.6 thousand subscribers. I know I barely have any subscribers, but this guy, like, come on now, beautiful. It seems like he has beautiful videos. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Have a fantastic day and goodbye.